I really wanted you to be a part of this. So I'm glad you're here and able to do it. I mean, I know you're listening to the conversation and tweeting about it. And I don't, look, you have much more experience in looking at markets than I do, and you were a participant, and I was not. So I'm just curious as to, I've heard you talk about this on the air already, but hearing Herb's point of view and seeing what's happened in GameStop in a single span of 2.5 hours, what that says to you?
Well, first, it's great to see Herb and your gang is so bright about so much of this. I've never seen it before. And what Wall Street Bets, which is really driving this, what they've done, that's a site on Reddit, what they've done is target large short positions. Now, they have not targeted small short positions. GameStop was 148% short. They went after Best Buy this morning because that's 67% short. They're obviously, by the way, BlackBerry's not. They just happen to be a big favorite. Palantir, we don't know where they're doing. But I actually think, Herb, that they're smarter than we think. They're after the ones that are too shorted. No, short selling is not dead, but they're very smart about what to target.
Wait a minute, what you just said, target. So here's my question. How is it that they can target, and that's legal, and if there was, in the old days, a bear raid, that was illegal? When does this become manipulation, Jim?
It's such a tough question because remember, what's manipulation? How about if an analyst came out right now and said, I think GameStop is going to 250? Would we give that person a pass? Yes, because of the First Amendment. No, listen to me. It's First Amendment protection versus the idea of a group getting together to bust the shorts. But if the group is not a real group, it's just a lot of people who love it, it's going to be very hard for the U.S. Attorney to do anything, Herb. What is the SEC? What kind of case do they have? We like the stock. We like the stock. I mean, that's the kid where Ryan Cohen got in. He bought 15% at $8. He's on the board. We like the stock. How is that bad? Or do you think that they're concentrated and doing some sort of manipulation if they say they like the stock?
Well, I don't know if they're concentrated because I don't have subpoena power and I can't really go out and look at it. I can argue I don't even know if there are foreign powers at work here behind the scenes trying to get chaos up our markets.
Let me ask you this, Jim, because I think Mike Santoli, look, there's a good number of people sitting at home who are like, I'm not investing in these kinds of stocks. I don't know what the heck they're talking about. I'm really not interested in it. But Jim, Mike brings up what really is the cogent point for the broad audience. This is a sideshow. Does it at some point disturb the main event?
I think that more people are worried that it's going to disturb the main event than it is. It is a sideshow. What happened in GameStop? Okay, so the big trade was to be long the 40 calls and to be short the 60 calls. So they forced you to cover the 60 calls. They being the market makers had to cover. They started covering around 4 o'clock. So you did not, if you were on the 40 and you're short the 60, you got caught here because you were not able to sell the 40 at the same price that you got closed out in the 60. So you see that they were closing out and closing out and closing out. And you know this. And then once it was done, boom. I mean, anyone who was long up from the 40 calls doesn't have the capital. So that's why it came under pressure.
It just shows you too what, like, okay, we came into the show today, Jim, saying, okay, we're going to lead with technology. NASDAQ's ripping today. We're leading into a bunch of really critical earnings. And then we see what's happening with GameStop and the rest of the market story. We're like, what in the world? So you make this great pivot. It sucks a lot of the air out of the room. At the end of the day, though, Jim, this week and this month and maybe the next one is going to be driven by the numbers. I hope. The fundamentals.
And it's fundamentals. What's Johnson & Johnson going to say? What happens if Johnson & Johnson says, okay, we had a great quarter, stay tuned because you may only have to take one shot? I mean, where does that stuff go? Look at Eli Lilly. Look at what happened to Eli Lilly on a couple of good news announcements.
What happens with these earnings? If companies come out. What happens with these companies, Jim, if people come out? And we know it's when the company stands up and the company says it's not quite what you expected it to be at these levels. And what I think is very interesting as I watch it, as these stocks go higher and higher and higher, executives are human beings. They have feelings. They get caught up in it too.
Now they have making statements that you can't prove.
Now they have to justify. I'm trying to think through it. Now they're trying to justify.
I like to do this with you. You know that. Go ahead.
I love it, Jim. I love being with you. So now they have to justify. Now they have to justify the stock somehow, and that's where I believe you get into this issue of aggressive accounting, which people don't pay attention to any of that anymore. They haven't for a long time. people start getting more aggressive, they get hooked on the drug of aggressiveness, and that's why Jim Chanos is out there talking about the golden era of fraud. This is going to be a very interesting period going forward.
I was literally thinking of Chanos saying the golden age of fraud when he was with us
The golden age of fraud?
the other day.
Wait a minute. Okay, so tell me, was the fraud Wall Street bets decided to go after Bed Bath because some idiots are shorted when the
Has
whole
nothing to
company's
do with Wall
changed?
Street bets.
67% short and the whole company's better than it used to be? What is the case to be short Bed Bath and Beyond? Anyone have it? Anyone have it?
Maybe. Well, actually, it did show up on our model for breaking retailers that we put out a while back. But that said, didn't take into account the new CEO, didn't take into account things. But that was, by the way, that was a long time ago. So again, he has to justify what he's doing at Bed Bath & Beyond. I don't know. It's not a company we write about. But I will say that in the end, what will the managements do? What will they have to do to justify these stock prices? And these proxy statements that are going to come out later this year, it's going to be interesting to take a look at bonus structure changes and things like that to see how much of it is tied to the stock. If there's any tweaks that are going to indicate, that are going to suggest that management has to get more aggressive or wants to get more aggressive. I'm not going to say it's going to happen.
If interest rates go up, I think a lot of this game goes away. But the problem is...
And by the way,
I just thought...
What?
Scott, two things. First of all, you got two short sellers, Herb and Jim Chanos, talking about golden age of fraud.
I'm not a short seller. I don't short stocks.
Short sellers. No, but you put out short research. So everybody's talking their own book. I will tell you this. I just bought a load of GameStop puts far below the market going out to March and April.
Just now.
This is a moment in time. Reality is going to hit that stock, and it's going to come down hard.
Like literally just now as we're having this conversation, you did that?
Literally just now. I mean, it's purely speculative. It's money. It's not going to affect, obviously, my portfolio or my life either way, but it's just too good a setup. This is not going to last forever. If I lose the money, I lose it, but it's going to be fun in the interim.
Okay, so what happens to the guy
There's no there. This should be a $2 stock.
$2?
The guy sold to me?
Ryan Cohn paid. Yeah. No, I'm saying, how does he hedge himself?
Yeah. Well, he's going to have to go out and do something with the stock.
I know, but that could lead.
Or he's got to find somebody on the other side.
If you did position limit, you're going to hurt the stock. You know that. I mean, you can make it happen yourself.
Jim, the other thing is, Jim, is that there are okay, there may not be a lot of people in GameStop, just in general, but
right.
There may be a bunch of our regular viewers who are in a Macy's or a Nordstrom or some of these other names that they think may be time to buy, looking ahead to the other side of the pandemic, caught up in this whole thing. That's my point, is again, playing off of what Santoli's talking about, it may not have a broad impact on the market yet, but there could be an awful lot of investors caught up in all of this because this is spreading now to household names, Jim.
It is.
A lot of the ones that we talk about.
Look, I think Jeff Gannett's doing a great job at Macy's. Maybe he should never have been at 7. By the way, I think if you take a look at what Michelle Goss has done, and I didn't believe this, but she has made a major turn in Kohl's. She brought in Sephora. She's bringing in big brand names. That is a turn. Some of these maybe should never have been where they were. Ford Motor maybe should never have been where it was. So I say, Scott, that some stocks got oversold and should not have been where they were. Jeff Gannett is doing a good job. Does the stock belong here? I think if you get a vaccine, if everybody gets the vaccine, then you're going to pay 15 for Macy's, maybe even 20.
Hey, if you get a vaccine, AMC deserves maybe to be where it is.
Absolutely.
Right, but that's the problem. This is taking us away from reality, that we don't know what's real, what's not.
The reality is that we're all going to get it unless we get the vaccines out.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't that what the transmission? You have to have an N95. Everyone, I have a guy tonight, Dr. Meaner. What does he do? He is advocating an at-home test that costs $5. That's what we need. This is an N95. I got the edge on you. Do I want the edge on you? No, everyone should have them. I'm sorry I went on for so long, but the vaccine is what's happening.
No, thank you for coming out. You made the conversation better. Herb, thank you. It's great to see you again.
Guys, sorry, Herb, that I did the usual with you.
It's okay, Jim. I expect nothing less from you.
Wouldn't want to have this conversation without you, Herb. Mike Santoli, you always make us think. Thank you for being here. We'll take a quick break. We will come